Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm at my office. It looks strange. So I know that I'm looking. Let's see if I can change my if my video could be mirrored or something. Video settings. I think that's better. Okay. So I'm in my office and got new computers. Uh-oh. Um, anyway, that's I'm trying it out. So I wanted to come and talk about the Britney Spears book. I actually do not have a physical copy of the book, and there's a lot of rumor taking place because Michelle Williams is the one who is voicing it. Britney Spears is the one who's reading the forward, the introduction. And I think Michelle Williams does a fabulous job at embracing like Britney Spears kind of space. It seems weird because like my eyes are going in different, it feels like my eyes are in different directions. Okay. So I struggle as a whole with the, but I think she does it, like I said, I think Michelle Williams does a fabulous job doing that part of the video. With that being said, I think this is one of the saddest memoirs that I've read. And it's not because of anything she says per se. It is completely because of the tone and the way that it's written. She is writing as if she is a teenager who is telling her story. It is a string of events. It is not a reflective, it is not what you expect of a 40-year-old woman to be writing about. And I think she turns, yeah, uh she's actually no, she's not 40. She's older than me. So she's 42. 42, yeah. You would think that a 42-year-old woman has evolved enough to kind of have some reflection. And it's unfortunate that she doesn't. She is, and she mentions that she blames the fact that she was under the conservatorship for the reason why she began to kind of regress and all of this certain levels of trauma with celebrity that really kind of regressed herself in being not being a fully fledged adult. It's hard to imagine, Beyonce and Britney are the same age, but the difference i- I see is that you have supportive and you have supportive people that's around Beyonce. You do not have that same space for Britney Spears. So Britney Spears gets into how she was raised, and it kind of goes back and forth when she does mention how at one point her father was pretty successful. It's just that um, he was a drunk and kind of went downhill from there. So she kind of becomes this child's she was much more tomboyish, and she kind of fell into um singing and stuff like that, and how She skirted back and forth with being a child star. She met Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera as kids, as we all know, um, with Disney, and then she went back home. Like, they all decided to kind of go on their course towards a career, and she decided she was going to go back home to Louisiana and be a teen. But she really wanted to get back into this space, and her mom was continuously keeping in contact with agents. And so eventually she goes to LA, New York, LA, New York. No, she goes to New York. And so you get her journey through celebrity. And what I think is really kind of bizarre to me is, well, it's interesting to hear her thoughts about certain things that she was encountering during the albums, like how she felt during the albums. She really still like this kind of R&B space. She was really upset about I mean, the things that are hitting the blogs about Justin. Now, this is interesting. Unlike Jada Pinkett, Britney Spears, the quotes from Britney Spears are absolutely correct. She's like, look, this is what Justin did to me. There is no interpretation of what Justin did. Justin Timberlake and her got pregnant. They were living together. Um, they were living together in Orlando. I think that was, she said Orlando, Florida. We're living in a house together. Did not know that. And they were living in a house together. And, oh God. They're living in a house together, um, and, I guess they'd spend some time together down in Orlando in the house as they're traveling and doing their job. Somehow she no one knew that she got pregnant, and they decided to have the abortion pill at home. Now, when I read this, I was like, okay, I don't understand why you would have, if you take the abortion pill, why you would need to go to the hospital, but unless there's complications. So that felt a kind of little weird to me, but she claimed that it was the most intense pain that she's ever had. And um and if that's the case, that absolutely could, I mean, because an abortion pill can have a reaction to different people. And it feels like a very hard cramp period, but it's nothing compared to childbirth. So I'm not quite, and it's not as painful depending on where you are in your pregnancy. If you're taking the abortion pill, you're in your first trimester. So it's not as painful as a miscarriage. But as a person who's, for her, she's young, um, when this happened, I mean, she's in her early 20s. I can imagine that that it was more traumatic, and which would make you feel really, that it was really, really difficult and really painful. It'll make you feel that way when it's not as painful as other things like childbirth or a second trimester miscarriage. But I also cannot, I also will not ascribe her experience, downgrade her experience and say that that's not how she felt. But if you feel that you may need to go to a hospital or invite another doctor here to evaluate you, then I think that that's a legit concern. Instead, Justin decided to sit next to her and play a guitar to ease her pain. I'm like, you couldn't give her a heating pad? Because that would have been more useful to give her a heating pad. But instead, you think giving her sitting here listening to you sing is what she needed. I cannot. She regrets the fact that she didn't have the baby. She also felt like it was more forced upon her versus it being a decision that she really wanted to make. Even though she admits that she really wasn't trying to be a mom at the time, but if it was up to her, she would have not had an abortion. But what I think is even more troubling, if we're going to get at another troubling moment, fast forward, is within a week he breaks up with her. And I know that now this is not true. There's rumors out there that in the book she's saying that it's a text message. It wasn't a text message. It was a handwritten letter that he himself showed up, a framed handwritten breakup letter. Now, I'm cold. Now, y'all, who frames a breakup letter? You think, I mean, I don't even know what to think about. Like, how highly do you have to think of yourself to create a handwritten breakup letter in a frame, in a picture frame? I don't want that. I don't want it to be framed. If you're gonna put and I have broken up with somebody in a letter, do it in a Dear John letter and give it and hand it to him. And I actually did pop up because he was the kind of guy who would never answer the phone. He was conveniently trying to make himself more mystique by not being around and only was going to be available when, and if he claimed that he was leaving town when he wasn't leaving town. Like, he had a whole lie of a life. And so I would do stuff like, I wanted to catch him in his lie. I don't know why didn't I just break up with him? I don't know. But I wanted to catch him in the lie so I could be justified in breaking up with him. So I I wouldn't do it all the time, but I'd listen to some of the things that he says that he was doing, and then I'd randomly pop up at different things that he was doing. So it wasn't consistent. It'd be like, he says that he goes to this particular event, and I was like, oh, okay. And he'd tell me a couple times, and then I would pop up. And it just so happened that the things that I pop up to are like, we'd either, because he claimed that he was a cat, but he wasn't. And so I was like, okay, well, why are we not going to parties together if you're claiming to be a Kappa? So he told me what parties he was going to or something, and I was like, okay. And then sometimes I'd show up, sometimes I wouldn't. And the times that I'd show up, people would be like, oh yeah, he was just here. So then I couldn't say that he wasn't attending. Um, and it was a Kappa that liked me. So he was on the hunt and trying to figure out how he can discredit him and find out if he was really a Kappa. Um, because he was going to come to me to be like, Elizabeth, he's not a Kappa. He's a perp, right? Anyway, and to me, that was the last straw. When I found that out, it was the last straw because anyway, the point is, I did a Dear John letter and he claimed he was out of town. So I was like, well, I was just going to leave a letter and be done with it. But how could I leave a letter? I go up to his dad's house and gonna put a letter on the door. How about this man just walks out the door? And I was like, I thought you were out of town. Like, we don't even need to have a conversation. Here's your letter and let it go. So I'm not upset with Justin Timberlake per se, but I would say that if you are living with someone and she just literally had an abortion because you begged her to, I think you deserve to treat her a little bit better than just a Dear John letter in a picture frame. So currently, Justin Timberlake is being dragged for filth because, as we know, he cheated on Britney left, right, and the third. And then after they broke up, this man puts out a whole album pretty much talking about trying to make Britney seem like the bad guy, that she cheated, because she's like, I did cheat because he was cheating. And she was also the Crimea River song is particularly trying to demonize her. And then Justin Timberlake's going around. She was like, the one thing I didn't mind about what he was saying about me is that I am no longer a virgin. And so I appreciated that because people were still trying to trap me in as a 17-year-old virgin. And she's like, I lost my virginity at 14. And I'm just thinking, let's pause at that moment. In the very beginning, I had a sign. The sign that her mother ain't worth a cup of tea is when her mother is sitting there. Her mother gets upset that she finds out that she's smoking at 13 years old. And I'm thinking, why would you care if she's smoking? She's drinking margaritas and no, not margaritas, I'm sorry, strawberry daiquiris with the alcohol and white Russians with the alcohol at 13 and driving a car. You, ma'am, are sitting in the passenger seat with your daughter, your youngest daughter in the back seat, and Britney is driving at 13. Who cares if she's smoking? Like, your moral fiber is pretty much gone. But moving on. So her and her dad always had a complicated relationship. It gets worse as she gets older. And they always had this level of control of her career and trying to get her to continuously work. Sounds like Whitney Houston. Whenever she was tired, they're like, yeah, you can't be tired. You need to get back out there. And she goes through a string of people between Justin and Federline. Federline, okay, in real time, I never liked Federline. And I have to admit to y'all that I was never necessarily a Britney Spears fan. I thought that she was a bit overrated. I thought Christina Aguilera had more talent. But I'm not going to take away that Britney Spears was gigantic And I thought that the way that Britney Spears was handled in the media was pretty effed up. When you have Star Search, Ed McMahon talking to her about if she has a boyfriend and will you be my boyfriend when she's a minor? Will you be my girlfriend? I mean, she was a teenager. Like she was like what, 15, 14, 15? And you're up here talking about I could be your boyfriend? Sir, you're old. Like you were old. I mean, she's older than me, but she ain't that much older than me. You are old to be thinking that this young girl, I mean, you're thinking that this is in jest and this is a cute little joke. It ain't funny. And you know that parents who are that focused on trying to get their kids a career are not going to speak up about the fact that it sounds like you're trying to proposition my daughter to do something that in order for her, you had power. Star Search back in the day was a very powerful little show. It is the equivalent to, well, to some of these singing shows that you have, like The Voice and stuff. But I mean, I get that they take a lot more time and energy and stuff like that. But Star Search was a great way, if you think of the different people who were on it. Beyonce was on it at one point. The different people who were on Star Search, just like Apollo. It's a big deal from when it was on television. Ed McMahon was insanely famous. So I when I listened to that, I was like, ew. And and then she kind of went through the different celebrities that, some of the types of questions that she had. Um, she has never been a person who's good to talk to media. And at this moment, there's no way. I do appreciate the fact that I'm fast forwarding a little bit. I do appreciate the fact that she addresses people's concerns about her on Instagram and how she's looking half bit crazy on Instagram. She's like, I don't look half bit crazy on Instagram. I look free. For the first time since she was 14 years old, she can take a picture of herself free. She can eat what she wants free. She's like, look, I've always managed my money to the penny. She's like, I should have never been under conservatorship because I managed everything, but I gave way because they were threatening for me to never see my kids again. I'm really disappointed that that her kids are not as supportive of her as they should be because her kids were pawns. Kevin has used those kids that she had, and the way that Kevin treated her, I mean, Kevin needs to be dragged for filth. Y'all are dragging Justin Timberlake. Kevin needs to be dragged from the gutter to, I mean, the fact that we all knew he was gutter when he did it to his first girlfriend with the first two kids, and she was pregnant while he was with Britney. Fine. We all knew it was a payday. The only person who didn't know that was Britney. Kevin kept those kids from her. And if he claimed that it was because she was mentally unstable, okay, fine. You did this because your rap career was trash. Nobody wanted to see you in a rap career. Nobody bought your album. And so you decided, okay, well, let me go be a dad because I can make a living off the back of Britney Spears for however amount of money a month. Let's look. How much money did this man get a month? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 30,000, but I think it was more than that. Kevin Federline. I don't even want to know how much the net worth. Let's see what it is. Oh, that's Kevin. No, wrong person. Come on, Kevin. Federline. He's 45 years old. Um, okay, so he was getting 40,000 a month in child support. And he is currently wanting to increase his child support, but they are about to decrease his child support to 20,000 a month until 2025 when when the youngest child graduates from high school. This man is married. You hear me? With additional children. No, no, I don't want to do all that. You guys. Okay, so now you just, why can I not? Let me see. Oh, you want to be ridiculous. Yeah, right. Yeah. Has another wife, has a wife, a current wife who he's been with for 10 years. I'm gonna let it be known. She is a, she, she is a trash of a person too. Um, because I would not do this to somebody, and nor would I want to be with a man who is willing to drag his ex-wife or baby's mother the way that he has and would withhold the kids from Britney. He manipulated her. He was working hand in hand with her dad to try to influence and keep the kids, kept trying to make it seem like she was crazy, kept putting her into mental hospitals or mental facilities, claiming that she was doing drugs when she was just when she was on protein shakes. I mean, Kevin was trying to do this rap career. She was pregnant with the second kid. Like he literally would just disappear, treated her like trash. Like I hope that his wife's name is Victoria Prince and Kevin Federline. I hope they are dragged to filth because he deserves to be dragged just as much as I think worse, because he's worse than Justin Timberlake. Because he manipulated, he took her freedom, he took her joy. It's just disgusting to see. But as a whole, she really spent some time to well, let me pause there. I thought it was hilarious when she calls her daughter, no, her sister, a bitch. And I was like, wait, it came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. And then she proceeds to explain how horrible of a girl, how horrible, because clearly the father was driving this because the father was making quite a bit of money. The mom got back with the father because literally it was her job. He was controlling the fact that what she eat, he was counting when she used how many times she used the bathroom. Um uh she was, yeah, the bathroom. It was, she couldn't have a french fry, she couldn't have a hamburger, she was depressed. I enjoyed the fact that she had her own little review. She was in Vegas. Her Vegas stint reminded me of what they did to Elvis and forcing her to work. kept forcing her to work, kept spending her money, but they refused to let her make any choice of a french fry. Um, she couldn't make any musical arrangements. She couldn't make real new music. And she was angry. She was angry at the Icon Music Awards because her sister's up there having all of these different musical arrangements, but then they wouldn't let her sing her own musical arrangements or create something. I mean, it was, to me, it was the saddest read. She's like, I am working on forgiving my family, but I ain't there. And I don't, and if I never see them a day in my life, good riddance. Um, at the end of this book, she's trying to seem hopeful because she's trying to evolve and become a woman, which I think is tragic. But I'm happy for her at the same time. I'm happy that she's able to become a woman, that she's evolving to become a woman. I'm really darn sad that her and her husband is getting a divorce. It wasn't getting a divorce by the time by the time you read this. She has that her family had her dad and her and the people around her. Her dad really was instrumental in organizing her to have no friends. Any friend she may have was taken away from her. And I'm just going to say it's a tough read. It's a good read. These chapters are extremely short. There's 49 chapters, and most of them are like, they're very, very short. It's, I'm glad she's able to speak. She thanks everybody who was instrumental in freeing her. And I'm glad she feels that way because I definitely was like, team, get her out. Free Britney. She talks about her fans in that way. She's like, I really am not interested in doing new music. I'm enjoying getting to know me. I find that this was a story in which she was a mark and she has been taken advantage of her entire life. She's like, I am not dumb, I'm just naive. And I was like, my heart goes out to her. So I'm not sure if I highly recommend the book, but I do think that it's nice to hear her speak. That being said, bye.